On March 4th, 1995, a thrilling new attraction opened in Adventureland, drawing in hundreds of guests the moment they were allowed in. The new ride employed many new special effects and technologies which were all specially programmed to provide the best experience possible for riders. This is Dateline Disney, and today we will be avoiding Mara's gaze alongside Indiana Jones in the Temple of the Forbidden Eye. After the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular was so successful in the Magic Kingdom at Disney World, Disney and George Lucas were ready to collaborate again on another attraction for Disneyland in California. Previously, Lucas and Disney had come together to make Disneyland attractions such as Star Tours and Captain EO. The new Indiana Jones attraction would differ from these, however, as it would find guests moving through an actual show building and it would not be located in Tomorrowland. Even then, the Imagineering team considered making the attraction a walkthrough or maybe even a high-speed mine ride before they came to the conclusion that they would innovate, engineering and patenting a new, enhanced motion vehicle that would give guests a unique experience. The EMVs use a modified motion simulator that is mounted on a four-wheeled chassis. In addition to the vehicles leaning into turns and simulating shock absorption when driving on rough terrain, the EMVs also react to scenes in the ride, lurching away from hazards as they threaten guests. In turn, the effect this has is something you can only experience on either of the Indiana Jones Adventures in Disneyland or Tokyo Disneyland, as well as completely original attraction Dinosaur in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Either way, Temple of the Forbidden Eye was the first ride to utilize EMV vehicles. The ride began construction in August of 1993. In total, there were a whopping 400 Imagineers working on this project alone, all being led by Tony Baxter, who is also known for designing attractions such as Star Tours and Splash Mountain. An attraction of this scale would require a great deal of space, and in order to make said space, Disney rerouted both the monorail and the Jungle Cruise. They also had to completely demolish the Eeyore parking lot. Even so, Imagineers decided to leave a nod to the demolished parking lot and the queue for the ride, with an Eeyore sign located in the rafters above the projection room. Speaking of the queue, like many Disney attractions, guests have plenty to see and do while waiting to board. Some of these sites include a Mercedes-Benz near the entrance that was used in the filming of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and a spiked ceiling that suddenly lowers and nearly crushes guests if someone decides to touch a nearby bamboo pole despite specific instructions not to. This makes the queue more interesting, and Disney would have to because their original idea for the attraction had guests being shuttled to the attraction from the Jungle Cruise in order to prevent a long wait time. Though, like any high-tech attraction, the ride is not without its issues and tends to break down a lot. Even if you're not near any helpful cast members, you can still tell when the ride is broken down, as the lights overhead stop flickering when it does. In addition to just being a great precursor to the ride, the queue also helps tell part of the story behind Temple of the Forbidden Eye, and boy is it an interesting one. Taking place in 1935 at a recently uncovered archaeological site which had previously been lost after a flood of the Lost River Delta, the lore behind the temple all seems to surround its deity, Mara, who offers three possible gifts to all who enter: earthly riches, eternal youth, or visions of the future. The only thing those brave enough to venture in must do in return is avoid Mara's gaze at all costs. In order to raise more money for Indiana Jones himself to continue his excavation of the temple, his friend Sala decides to begin conducting guided tours, which Disneyland guests may embark on if they dare. However, even though many of the tourists have been returning safely with a great deal of new stories to tell, some have not been as fortunate, and Indy has decided to go in himself in an attempt to save them and maybe even stumble upon the Jewel of Power while he's at it. Although, suddenly in a strange turn of events, after Indy leaves and doesn't return, Sala decides to continue conducting the tours, hoping travelers may find Dr. Dones. Many influential people were invited to ride the attraction on March 3rd, one day before it would open to the general public. Among these people were the likes of Michael Eisner, Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Lucas, and Carrie Fisher, although those are only some of the many celebrities that came to Disneyland to ride the new ride. When the ride finally did open to everyone, it was sponsored by AT&T, and guests were given Marabic decoder cards on their way into the attraction in order to decipher hidden messages throughout the queue. Although, as of 2002, AT&T has since stopped sponsoring the attraction, and even though the decoder cards are no longer handed out, you can find an image of one with a quick Google search, and all of the messages are still all around the queue, waiting for guests to interpret them for themselves. Thank you for watching Dateline Disney. If you liked this video, leave us a like, and this week let's try and get this video to 10 likes. It may sound small, but hey, we have to start somewhere. You can also subscribe and share this video with fellow Disney fans. Finally, be sure and leave us a comment down below and tell us what you'd like to see us cover next week on Dateline Disney. We post videos every Sunday. See you next time!